I'd 100% drag this all the way for these actors being so bad, but there might be an element of the Korean show or listening to this.
Assumed because of their disgusting human psychology that, of course, it's only one.
Yeah.
But they actually could have just shared it the whole time.
And I think that could be a fun.
Speaking English when he's on the phone.
It's like, and they're all like laughing.
Looks like a pretty number.
They just have like no.
That's enough to the allegory.
Yeah.
It was 9 episodes. If it had been like 6,
It should have been 6 episodes.
Oh yeah,
it would have been tight.
It would have been tight.
So fucking tight. Do you know who fucking sucks in the show?
Oh, let me guess. The VIPs.
They suck.
That's another.
That's
another reason why not only does that bridge game kind of suck, but they suck.
They're
The
so
acting was
uninteresting.
so bad.
It was pathetic.
I was just like, as soon as they started talking, I was like, oh, okay, so I guess Korean shows just get like the cheap actors.
They just have like there's no English speaking actors in that.
Yeah, I guess it's whoever. Yeah, the 20 people I can speak. I don't know.
I feel bad if any of them are listening to this podcast, but they were bad.
Oh my god, it was pathetic. It was that whole episode sucks because like it sucks. The production design of the VIP room is so cool. The humans painted, like all the the like kind of jungly room, and like
the masks are cool.
Bridge. Yeah, it all looks really cool. But man,
but then when they're talking, yeah, you go get him. Ha ha ha.
Why'd you pick that number? Oh, it's a pretty number.
Yeah, 69. No other better. Did they say nice?
I don't know.
No, they don't say nice. He's like,
and like, and they're all like laughing
Looks
so
like
hard.
you made a friend. Okay, you can have this shitty dude who thinks 69 is funny, but then no one else should laugh. They should be like, ugh.
They sound like they sound like NPCs.
So I not only this is another thing where I was kind of like, all right, if this was a Western show, I'd 100% drag this all the way for these actors being so bad. But there might be an element of the Korean showrunners being like, yeah, we want these guys to be really over the top, or they just like don't really understand the nuances of like English acting,
or they're like, it doesn't matter because they're gonna be subtitled.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the show is
like,
for Korean audience.
People who don't speak English won't really notice.
What's the deal with the front man speaking English when he's on the phone?
I think it's to tell us that there's like people.
Because he's talking to the Americans.
Yeah, it's to tell us that there's more than just Korea as part of this.
Yeah.
But then there's also because there's a lot of English written on in the library of documents from past games.
Yeah,
like the spine of the book would be like, Game 5.
Yeah, I was wondering whether that's like because that's a kind of a thing in Korea where like because a lot of these Asian countries do use English text for a lot of stuff for like labels and
so
whatnot.
we find out that the games are happening in many countries.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just like a practical thing for the organization where it's like you have the copy in your country's language, but then you also have it in English so that it's easier to work with them.
The reason that when you said multiple countries, I picture that Mario Party game where it's a pizza and like the people are like swimming through the pizza eating it, and that was the Italy game.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Where should the next Squid Games be? Because like I'm sure there'll be a Korean one, but I bet they're gonna try and spin it off. God help us if it's an American spin-off. But if like where would you actually be into it? Like maybe Italy? That could be fun.
I like Irish people. I want to see.
I want to see what Gi-hun does. Like, I don't want to see Squid Game in another country. No,
the same show but less good.
No, stick with the same characters. Like this is a Korean thing. I want to see what Gi-hun does. But I also heard them talking about maybe there's like they would do like a prequel showing kind of the brothers and like their fallout and like how the front man got to his position.
I don't need that.
No, honestly, I don't need a sequel. I don't need another season. They should have just made one good season. They kind of already botched that opportunity. But this is
they're never gonna make one good season of a show and everybody watches a phenomenon, then they stop.
There is no way the second season is good because this show they couldn't even make one good season. Like by the end of the show, I was like, I'm over this.
What really?
It's the novelty of the first half is like really fun, really cool, but the last 3 episodes kind of suck. It was like, eh.
So like, what I really hope they don't do is like. It's a whole new set of games, and like, well, it's Squid Game season 1, but different.
I'll bet you $1 million.
That's what they do.
Literally $1 million. There will be a new Squid Game set of games.
I guess.
What the hell do you think it would be? They're just in the normal real world the whole season.
No, but like, because there are different ways that shows do this or movies do this. It's like where they think that the season 1 was so successful, and what people really liked about it was the whole setup about like we're being in this mysterious game, and there are characters, and they're trying to survive each successive game, and blah blah blah. I'm like. Okay, that's good, but I don't want that exact same thing again. If they had that as sort of like a side plot, and then in the meantime, Junho survived, and Gi-hun's coming back with his stupid red hair, and these guys team up, and they're kind of trying to execute a plan to take down the organization, and at the same time we have a few characters in the Squid Game, and then they break out and they meet up, and there's all sorts of things you could do. I would hate to see literally slate wiped clean, different country, new characters. It's the same Squid Game, but the plot.
Absolutely not. No.
I think that's a spin-off. I think season 2 won't be quite like that.
It'll be in the games.
Yeah.
There will be 6 new games because the games is a fun part of this
Yeah,
show.
but, like,
it'll be more about the inner workings of it and how big.
It's Detective Brother in the Squid Game and Gi-hun outside of the Squid Game.
No,
Calling it. I'll bet you $50.
I don't want to see any.
$50. This is on the line.
I don't want to see
Bet
any.
him, you bastard.
I don't want to see any characters. I don't want to see any characters from season 1 back in the Squid Games. No,
But you
We
don't, like,
already know that he took the card, and we
Yeah.
know Gi-hun's going back in.
he's
Squid
going
Game.
back. But what does he go back as a guard? Does he go back as like you're a VIP now, or you won the game, or what? Like
Place your bet.
how did
Place
frontman
your bet.
how did frontman, or the brother, win the game and then end up as the frontman? What's the process there? This is
we're gonna
lore.
find
I
out.
need
We're
to
gonna
know.
find out. We're gonna find out.
Man, just bet David, please.
I would also accept. No, I don't bet. I don't want to. I
Bet me a
I would
kiss.
also accept a
Weak.
prequel showing frontman's backstory.
I hate prequels.
I don't want prequel.
Because it's like, he seems as a villain. He shoots his brother. How did he get to this point? Is he bad? Is he shoot his brother because he knows that there's no hope for him and he's going to die anyway?
Audiences don't care
Does he
about
actually
Frontman.
still love him?
We care about Gi-hun. We don't
I care about
I don't
Frontman. You don't care about Frontman?
0%.
No.
I love Frontman. Everybody loves Frontman.
You don't know him.
People love Frontman. Leave a comment about Frontman.
Okay, I'm gonna put that in the Spotify poll. Do you love frontman?
Yeah, do it.
Hey, what does dialing 112 do in Korea? Is that 911 for them?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
We should have Googled that before we answered this question.
Okay, here's a rando human psychology question. Does forming team? I'm just gonna not read this ahead of time.
119
Okay.
is 911. Go ahead.
That's 112.
Remember when they were
didn't dub
picking their teams of 2? I love that Marvel episode.
Yeah.
They all pick their teams of 2, only to find out that they're going to have to. It's your enemy, the person you picked. You're gonna have to. One of you is dying. That was an amazing reversal. The husband and wife look at each other like shit.
I was so sad. Yeah. But you're really like, oh shit.
So when people are organizing themselves, they're mostly doing that like purely by competence. Like I want to be with. If I'm the strongest player, I want to be with the second strongest player.
Yeah.
But do you think it's smarter to, or how would you do it? Would you do it where you have that mostly, but you also want to make sure that the person is weaker than you, and just in case you have to kill them? Like if you're the 4th best player, are you trying to get players 1, 2, or 3 on your team, or are you trying to get player 5 on your team?
I think it's hard, and like that's
Look at
why.
Riley's face.
I don't like thinking about this.
Yeah. But I think it's why knowing the game was such an advantage. But yeah, I think it's so hard to know. I think if you know nothing about the game, I think I'd want one rung below me. I think that's what I would choose. Depending on how bad I am. If I'm like at the absolute bottom.
Wait, are we talking
then I
about a
probably
marble
want-
game?
Or just like in general. Like if you walk in, but you don't know that it's a marble game yet.
That's right.
You're just there and like team up with a person, and there's a possibility you're with them. There's a possibility you're against them. I think I would want one rung below me, because then I can. They're strong.
When you say
But they're
rung
not.
below, you mean in terms like
In
if you-
rating.
If you can look at
you have a hierarchy in your mind.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
of competence of like who's good. You're saying if you are in the top half of competence,
Yeah.
you'll take someone who's below you.
Just below me.
If you're in the bottom half, you'll probably take someone who's
Yeah.
better because you don't have a high chance of winning anyway.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like your calculus.
Well, I mean, what other? I think in that situation, you just kind of get the partner that chooses that agrees to be your partner.
You sound like you got picked last, pal.
Sure.
I really liked in the show where they designed this mechanism to have someone get picked last, for there not to be enough partners and to have that. Well, it turns out being that lady, that psycho.
We didn't really
Fraud
even
woman.
talk. We didn't really even talk about the fact that like so much of this setup is, based on kids' games dynamics and whatnot. Like this being picked last thing is like, that's
You
what
know they don't
happened
do that in school anymore.
Huh?
Now the teachers just pick teams.
That's smart.
Oh, did they used to do that in like PE?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
teacher would be
yeah.
like, "Hey, you two most athletic kids, you can't be on the same team.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys pick teams?"
Oh yeah.
That sucked.
Yeah, I guess I
It really
buried,
did suck.
I guess I
Yeah.
buried those
And
memories deep.
It was always the same kids that get picked last, no matter what the activity is.
I was picked like 3rd last.
Really?
I was
Aw.
picked because I'm bad at sports, but at least I'm in shape.
That's
So I
true.
can run really fast. I just can't catch anything or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
do
Ah.
anything.
I was reasonably athletic, and I was on sports teams.
Yeah,
But I was also a huge dork. So I just couldn't, it was like, maybe I get picked last, whatever. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. Actually, I don't think I ever got picked last.
David was
Anyways.
a hockey player.
Oh, wait.
I was the captain who picked the teams.
Oh, really? No, I definitely wasn't that. But I played basketball and stuff.
No, it depends. No, I'm kidding.
What? I don't know. I would believe you.
He's just trying to backpedal now because
I wasn't
he's
a hockey-
appealing to a nerd audience.
I definitely wasn't a hockey player for sure.
I always wanted us to bring nerd sports back so I could go and do really well.
You know, it was a good shot.
I don't know whether you're joking or not.
I'm very good at sports.
When that woman
Okay.
gets picked last and she's just like, she collapses on the floor and they're in the completely white room. Great shot. And I wonder how much of the production design and the sets and everything was driven by a production designer or by the vision of the writer-director.
Huh.
Like, that is like just a great shot.
I
She's
think-
just she stands out as all alone.
The writer-director did have a lot of vision for it. Like, he wanted the tunnels to be reminiscent of, like, ants working in a colony, and he wanted the games to have a certain appeal. But I'm guessing the specifics of it were mostly production designer, because that guy probably had so much else on his mind.
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, and also like big props to this guy, Huang Donghyuk. He wrote the script. He directed all 9 episodes.
Man, no matter what they paid him, it was not enough.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't very much, because he's some no-name dude.
Oh, he'll
Right.
get all his money on the next one and do half the work. And
That's
Well, and,
fine.
and most of the time, you know, the writer of the script isn't like, even if he directs the first episode or something, he's not directing the rest. Like they bring in other directors. But like,
he said that for the second season. He lost 6 of his teeth producing this.
what? From
Yeah.
stress?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I
That
was like,
seems
that's
kinda
fucking wild.
They're just falling out?
But he said that on the next. I mean,
like
he has
once
money.
once Netflix had picked it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said that the next time he would pay, or he would make sure that there's other writers and other directors and stuff. So it'd be
Right.
more of a traditional
Well,
TV.
the thing with Netflix, though, is like, even if Netflix picks up your show or deigns to make your show, especially if you're in an international market, it really doesn't mean anything. There's tons of like BTV. There's tons of, I don't want to be disrespectful, but like crap content on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
better all the time, I guess. But like, they could, just because they financed, I don't even know if they did finance it or if they bought it once it was done, but
I
just
think
because
they
it's
financed it.
right, but that doesn't mean that it's like we're gonna make you into a hit. Like, I think it just
No.
their algorithms did that, and,
Well, and,
and
like,
the audience did
Netflix
that.
has been very much seeking non-English language content. They've been
Yes.
looking outside of North America to get good content, and I think it's been working. Like Money Heist is like one of the most successful shows. This is their most successful show, and so
And I just want to say I love that as a direction for a film to go in. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see more international stuff.
Yeah.
I between this and Parasite, I think I like Korean cinema. It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Cinema's sick.
Of all the international cinema I've
Yeah.
seen, I think
There's
I like it
definitely-
the
well,
most.
And I think that's definitely the plus side creatively of streaming services is that there is no sunk cost. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to watch Squid Games. You're like, fuck it, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Whereas when it was traditional movies, when it was going to the theater, like, am I going to spend $50 for me and my family to go see a movie? Man, nah.
I will say though that like, you know, while I am glad that Netflix kind of does this, well, part of me is glad they do this shotgun approach where they just like give funding to everybody who's got a freaking spec script and is like, yeah, sure, make your show, whatever, we'll put it up on Netflix. Who cares? And some of them end up being these like giant hits. Part of me is like, cool, but another part of me is like, I'm getting really annoyed at going on Netflix looking for something to watch, and there's just like, hey, remember those 1 or 2 like true crime documentaries that you thought were pretty cool? Here's 8 more of them, and I'm like, well, now I don't want to watch any of them.
You can
because-
tell which ones are just ripoffs.
yeah, or something, and it's like, I don't know, and like this is a
Like,
foreign
instead of
language
making
thing.
a murder, it's like he was made into a murderer. You're like,
Yeah, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, or they like go
Octopus Game.
combing through the archives for like every random murder suicide that happened
Yeah.
in history and making a feature length documentary about it, or a series, or like a limited series.
That's
I
fair.
don't know.
But it also, like, I don't find it that hard to discern what's good and bad. And so, like, whatever, it's like I have to scroll 2 extra spots to be like, okay, this one's clearly a bad one.
Do you rate stuff on there?
No.
No.
But you can kind of just tell. Like, I don't know, like, not always. Sometimes, like, I have to, like, Google it and stuff, but I can usually be like, okay, this is a shitty Netflix one. And, like, Netflix knows what's good and what's bad, and they really do push the good ones more.
Do you know if this show came out in Korea like some months ago and it
think
does
so.
it bubble up like it's kicking ass in Korea, so let's put it in our other markets?
I don't think
no,
so. I think this
it just,
came out.
It was kind of it
worldwide.
was pretty much natural.
Bec-
that-
But they knew this was good because I got ads for this way before it was coming out, and I was like,
Yeah.
this looks pretty cool. Like, I remember seeing the stair shot and being like, what is this?
Yeah, I think they definitely put some effort into bringing this to a wider audience than just Korea, for sure.
Because it's not completely borderless, even though it's a global company. You know, U.S. Netflix is different than Canadian Netflix.
Yeah.
So I wonder if sometimes things get big in their own market and then
They're
I
different
think
companies.
Money Heist
no,
probably.
they're the same company, but because of licensing and stuff,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, oh, Star Wars is available in this country, it's
The
not available in this
experience
country.
is different, but
So I wonder if they sometimes try harder to make it more accessible.
well, I think
Well, I
like,
guess the original content can be everywhere.
it can be everywhere all
Yes.
at once. But I think like some stuff does take a little while. Like I think Money Heist wasn't immediately a huge success outside of Spain, but now it's built and built and built.
Have
And
you
now
watched?
I haven't watched it, but
Me neither, and I don't think I'm going to.
I do want to watch it. It's
Do
wild
you?
that the costumes are so similar, like the outfits are so similar to the guard outfits.
I think the title just bothers me.
It's a stupid title.
Money Heist.
Well, in Spanish, it's way better. It's the house, like it's the House of Paper.
Why didn't they call it that?
La Casa de Pepe.
Yeah, exactly.
way
It's
cooler.
a way cooler title.
Money heist? That seems it's so
It's like a
redundant.
comedy.
All heists are for money.
Hey,
or
you want to
something.
join? You want to join this heist for money?
What are you guys stealing? Money or cash equivalent? Like, come on.
Currency,
Yeah, that's not a good title. That's not a good one. Let's do it.
legal tender,
Fungible assets.
fungible heist.
Travis checks. Should we hit picks, nitpicks? I think the CG is really good in the show, except for the bridge episode. Like most of
really?
the time, the CG like didn't distract me.
There's
like
not a lot
for
of
TV
it.
show, but that bridge episode, boy, that's bad.
Oh, who's bad?
I feel like
The overhead tracking shots of the glass, you can just see like there's like a judderiness to it where it's like clearly none of this is like actually tracking
Oh,
together.
interesting.
Was very unimpressed. And then the explosion at the end, not impressed.
I didn't pick up on any of that, but like I feel like maybe the kind of surrealness of the whole idea and the environs kind of like made me forgive the fakeness of some of the sets. Like seeing the big gym with all the beds and then like
Love that
the
set.
multicolored stairs and stuff.
As if
So
they
they-
would keep removing beds. Hey, this is a lot of work for them.
Yeah, I know, right? But when they get into the big the tug of war,
Yeah.
big chamber, like that it looked pretty fake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when they
that
were
was the-
falling, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But at
even
the same
just-
time, it didn't bother me because I was kind of like, all of this kind of looks fake with the bright colored costumes and the weird sets. And
that
I
also was
okay.
like the one to me, the game that seemed like the least well thought out. I think like Tug of War as a game is good. I love them like the Ilnam teaching them how to
Yeah.
win. Like that was awesome, and I'm like feeling it. And then like not impressed.
Oh, yeah,
but
when they
that
were
was the-
falling, yeah.
yeah. Well,
But at
even
the same
just-
time, like, I know, right? Multicolored stairs and stuff.
As if
So
they
they-
would keep removing beds. Hey, that's just a lot of work for no reason.
Yeah, I know, right? But when they get into the big, the tug of war,
Yeah.
big chamber, like it looks pretty fake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but
when they
that
were
was the-
falling, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But at
even
the same
just-
time, it didn't bother me because I was kind of like, all of this kind of looks fake with the bright colored costumes and the weird sets. And
that
I
also was
okay.
like the one to me, the game that seemed like the least well thought out. I think like Tug of War as a game is good. I love them like the Ilnam teaching them how to
Yeah.
win. Like that was awesome, and I'm like feeling it. And then like they kind of start losing, and then
They do the trick.
they do the trick. Like that stuff all works. But man, that set is so uninspired. Like it's just like a big room with like two platforms and like construction elevators going up to it. Like every other room has been so interesting and like colorful and bright, and this was just like,
yeah.
it was not. It didn't seem like they thought about
It
what
they
seems
tried to
kinda,
save
yeah, it
money
definitely
there.
seemed more like industrial and
Yeah.
less like interesting in that way.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, this is another example of like Asian dramas taking a long time to go through stuff. That elevator does not take very long to get from the bottom to the top. He spends like 5 minutes
Yeah, explaining.
explaining the
And-
strategy for tug of war.
His mouth is so wet.
Wet?
Watch him explain that. His mouth is just wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wait. So this is one of the things that makes me forgive a lot of stuff in this show. Where in a Western show, I'd be like, that's stupid. But in this one, I'm like, it's a Korean drama. I mean,
Sure.
hey, that's what they do. I don't know.
Whoa, what if his daughter is in Squid Game too?
What?
Kid.
Ilnam's daughter?
No.
Gi-hun?
Yeah.
She's a child.
I mean, they could jump like 30 years.
She's a.
No, they kidnap her.
Look, we know you're 11, but you stole a lot of stuff from the school cafeteria.
We saw you with that gun lighter.
You're in deep.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up.
I got one more.
Let's
hit pick.
wind it down.
Oh, I have
hit
one
pick.
hit pick too.
Let's
Go.
hear 'em.
The fact that the newscast at the end talking about the growing inequality in South Korea was a real newscast.
Oh wow,
was it?
That's a hit pick.
That's a hit
Okay.
pick. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That was one of my main questions about this whole thing. Was that like, okay, is debt a big problem in Korean society?
It's huge.
Because I don't
Yeah.
know.
And COVID made it way worse. And so, like everywhere else, where the billionaires got trillions richer, and
Right.
the rest of us.
Yeah, because this was definitely like obviously inequality is a huge talking point in the world for many years, but particularly in the last few. But I just didn't know. I didn't know the specifics of the South Korean situation because it seemed like this whole debt, specifically debt situation, was like maybe a Korean specific.
In the
thing.
first few episodes, there's so many little transactions. Okay, have you noticed that there's so many in the first, like say 2 to 3 episodes? There are so many cash transactions where someone hands someone else 10,000 won and or
Oh.
bets somebody else.
Yeah.
There's tons. I just,
Yeah,
I don't know. I have nothing to say more about it. It's just like
That's the thing.
There's some kind of theme here.
My one hit pick is the kid in the arcade who helps him win the
yeah.
the
Oh
ladder.
yeah, that kid was a legend.
That was so funny. Ian's like freaking out trying to get to operate this claw machine, and the kid's like, here's the trick or whatever. And then they're both looking at it as like it goes slowly over to the Dropbox, and they
Hug
get
each
it, and then
other.
they're like, he hugs this random like little kid. He's like a drunk looking stranger at the arcade, and they're like, yeah.
I had a question
Yeah,
about
kid's
that.
like
so
cute little chunks.
the box is the same as like the boxes from
Similar.
the game.
Okay, so this bothered me because I
But,
watched
like,
it with
is
my.
is it just like coincidence?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No.
And like,
It's
There
not.
are no coincidences in Squid Game.
I don't think it's a. Honestly, we didn't even cover it at all. But like, I watched a couple of video essays that were like pointing out all these things that like things were foreshadowed. Like Deoksu jumps off the bridge to escape
Yeah.
the gangsters, and that's how he dies.
Every death is like that.
Yeah, and then like Songwoo gives Ali the money to go pay for the thing, but then that's how he dies because he like gives him the pebbles, but then they're not. Or anyways, what were we saying? Why was I saying
The
this?
box.
The box, right? The box is the same design except it didn't have a pink ribbon; it had a silver ribbon.
Isn't it different dimensions too? It's a little more square than rectangle.
Well, sure, but
And-
I mean,
and
It
what-
also contains a gun that has fire incineration.
yeah.
Oh, but
foreshadow. Oh.
Nah.
In what world are they putting realistic guns lighters in kids' machines?
This is why it was set up, man. The front man put that in there.
I put it in there.
The most
Those
grabbable
machines
thing.
have really fallen in quality since the debt crisis started.
Well, I mean, like that's a good prize. Like it's probably worth way more money than any of those shitty stuffies are. But like, you don't put that in a kid machine, man.
The kids like swaggies carrying around instead of a bunch of stuffies. It's like, yeah, I got a box of condoms.
Syringes.
Yeah, shotgun.
What was the significance of the red hair? What? Like it's like okay,
To
he's
bother me.
renewed vigor. Like he's stepping
I
into
think
the
it
next
symbolizes anger.
anger. Okay.
Yeah, I saw somebody say that it symbolizes something in Korean like vitality or something.
Sure.
But it looks so bad.
It was weird.
It looks really, really bad. Okay, so one person's theory was that was the only men's or short haircut and on the pictures on the wall. And so if it was any, like he just like he doesn't care, you know, he's not about the aesthetics or whatever. So he's just like, give me that one, sure, whatever. And if it was a different haircut, he'd pick that one. You know, it's not like he picked the red on
why
purpose
did the writers put it in?
Yeah.
to bother me.
No, it's just. No. I don't agree with that person.
I feel like it's probably the symbolic thing, but
Yeah.
it just looks horrible, and I
looks-
wish they didn't do it.
Really distracting, and it doesn't feel like a big enough payoff.
And honestly, like it kind of ruined. Like I was like riding high. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this show's good. I'm super into the show. This is great. And it really just took the wind out of my sails for that last few minutes.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Last few minutes.
wind out of your sails.
Huh?
No, I don't know. And also things we shouldn't do. I know some people are mad when we do series. We don't like doing series. They take a lot of work from us.
Yeah.
Uh,
9 hours in a
Squid Game?
weekend.
The thing with Squid Games, everybody's already seen
Yeah,
it.
we just figured most people were watching it anyways. Sorry if you didn't watch it.
And if you do watch it, watch episodes 1 through 4 and then 6. And then just stop.
What?
Yeah.
I
agree.
mean, I guess if you're listening to this, you've already got all the
maybe,
spoilers.
Maybe
so.
even skip episode 2 when they go back outside of the Squid Game. You don't need that.
You don't need that one.
Well, that's true. It's
it's
character
set-
development.
Read the
sets-
Wikipedia entry.
But it sets up all the stakes, like
Fair,
the
fair.
old ladies that are dying. And,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, everybody. Next week. Dun 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 dun.
Done.
No one would have expected 2020 to go the way that it did. Out of nowhere, the world just closed its doors.
Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today we're discussing Daniel Craig's final Bond film, No Time to Die.
Wow,
No one
gritty.
says it like that.
Nope.
We'll laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it because wow, what an ending. But at the end of the day, hey, they're just movies.
Spoiler alert!
Pretty good. I was gonna go with alert.